What were the worst westerns of the 1970s? We have our favourite westerns from the 70s. However, for every great movie, there is at least one that fell short. All subjective, of course. This video is on 10 of these. Not my personal choice, rather based on ratings. Let me know what you think. Maybe you'll add or remove some. If you like this video, hit that notification button and get my new videos as they come up. Take a look at my channel to see all my videos. The link is in the description. You may notice I'm back to the voice as the voiceover. Finally got the mic fixed. Now let's have some fun and celebrate the genre. 1970, Dirty Dingus McGee. Director, Burt Kennedy. Frank Sinatra is a character you probably wouldn't have expected to make a host of Western films. In Dirty Dingus McGee, Sinatra plays the lead role of McGee, stirring up trouble and heroism alongside his sometimes rival, sometimes friend, Poke Birdsell, played by George Kennedy. The film has some dirty jokes for 1970. Critics find the movie to be a poor attempt at a comedy rather than a genuinely humorous film.
Wake up, little darling. Hot damn.
1971, Catlow. Director, Sam Wanamaker. Leonard Nimoy, of Star Trek fame, as a bounty hunter tracking an outlaw named Catlow, and the $2 million in gold he's stolen, as he makes his way through Apache territory to the Mexico border. While the acting, especially Nimoy's, is great, the storyline is simply too weak to make this film worth watching.
One wants Catlow.
1972, Pocket Money. Director, Stuart Rosenberg. Paul Newman, who'd had wild success in Cool Hand Luke a few years prior, attempted to replicate his performance in Pocket Money. Broke and in debt, with a STD-inflicted horse he can't get out of quarantine, Newman's character, Jim Kane, teams up with his old pal Leonard, played by Lee Marvin, to purchase some cattle and change his fortune, accidentally getting himself wrapped up in some shady business. Reviewers complained that the movie seemed confused, lacking a clear point or direction, and coasted on its star power rather than trying to innovate.
You'd call me a loner.
Quit hitting at me, friend.
Lee Marvin is Leonard, who puts every situation to its best advantage.
There's some secret police downstairs. They come around when you're in trouble. I got a plan. Seeing as how you gotta go along anyway, why don't you let me turn you?
1973, The Deadly Trackers. Directors, Barry Shear, Samuel Fuller. A violent western, The Deadly Trackers was disliked by almost everyone connected to the project. A story about a Texas sheriff named Kilpatrick, who seeks revenge after an outlaw, played by Rod Taylor, who killed his wife and son. Kilpatrick teams up with a Mexican policeman, who's also after the outlaw. The two must overcome their desire for justice and revenge in order to get the job done. Facing tons of on-set drama, the production was even shut down for a time. The behind-the-scenes mess is apparent on screen. When it finally hit theaters, the Los Angeles Times dubbed it the worst film released this year. (1974) Blood Money. Director, Antonio Margheriti. Blood Money, more commonly called The Stranger and the Gunfighter, stars Lo Lee as a martial artist who joins forces with classic Western gunslinger Lee Van Cleef. Together, they follow a treasure map left behind by Lee's character's uncle, which should lead them to ancient buried treasure. A true spaghetti western, the film has its funny moments, but overall is a mediocre and forgettable mix of the two genres.
And the gold.
Am I on the right road? Not only are you on the right road, but you are right.
1975, Take a Hard Ride. Director, Antonio Margheriti. A review of Take a Hard Ride attests that the film goes on, lurching in little fits and starts of inspiration from dimly remembered earlier movies. A black western about an honest cowboy, played by Jim Brown, and his companions, a gambler and an Indian, who take $86,000 across miles of dangerous land to their former employer's widow in Mexico. The movie is pretty standard, but ultimately it lacks the seamlessness and story depth to make it worth watching.
An army of enemies. And only one thing to do.
1976, The Duchess and the Dirtwater Fox. Director, Melvin Frank. A card shark, George Siegel, and a hustler, Goldie Hawn, walk into a bar, steal $40,000 from a bunch of outlaws, then fall in love. Goldie Hawn is the high point of this romp. She was nominated for a Golden Globe, losing to Faye Dunaway. Aside from her performance, the Western comedy has some funny moments. The humour is as good as any other comedy released that year. Nevertheless, viewers were unsatisfied with its ending, which just sort of peters out without providing any resolution. 1977, Vengeance. Director, Joseph Manjuk. Vengeance was only awarded a theatrical release thanks to its teen star, one of the biggest of the 1970s, Leif Garrett. Garrett plays teenager Tom, who sees both his parents killed by a band of Mexican outlaws. In typical Vengeance adventure form, Garrett sets out for revenge, getting help along the way from a prospector, Jim Brown, robbed by the same outlaws. Critics were turned off by the gruesomeness of the subject matter, as well as a tired plot that doesn't attempt to do anything new. (1978) Buffalo Rider. Directors, John Fabian, George Loris. Loosely based on real life, Buffalo Rider tells a heartwarming story about Jake Jones, who finds and rescues a buffalo that's about to be eaten by a pack of coyotes. Jones names the buffalo and saddle breaks him, then proceeds to ride him around the West, doing all sorts of heroic acts. There's not really a plot to this film. There are confusing and seemingly unrelated animal and nature shots mixed in among the half-hearted attempts at a storyline. (1979) The Villain. Director.
Please take time to take a look at my Facebook page for new information.